Hello, in this video I'm going to share my Nikon ZF camera setup. This worked for me and I hope it will work for you as well. So Nikon ZF is a retro style camera. You have these dials on top. This is for choosing your ISO, and also there's another little lever here for choosing shooting mode. For a hobbyist, I would suggest that aperture priority 99% of the time, probably, yeah, because it allows you to control the depth of the field, what is in focus, what is not in focus. If you're shooting cityscape, you want everything to be in focus. You may want to choose something between f8 and f11 if there's enough light. If you're shooting portraiture, you want a blurry background, you may choose your f1.4, largest aperture. Now, next let's talk about autofocus mode. This shutter release button, I assign it to the area focus, the widest area focus. So majority of the time I would just use the shutter release because the camera with its AI chip is intelligent enough to figure out what I want to focus on. Sometimes it does not work. For example, I'm taking a group portraiture for 5 people. Then the camera pick person 1's face, then I realize, oh, I would rather focus on the face of person 2. You can just use this 3D tracking mode. I assigned this auto exposure lock and autofocus lock button to 3D tracking. When I press this button, a little yellow box appears, and I can just use that box to focus on the person I want to focus on, instead of the person that was chosen by the camera. So this happens very rarely. Whenever you can suspect that the camera will not focus on the stuff you want to focus on, you can override the camera's AI by picking your own focusing point using this 3D tracking. Now, this button you can use to configure your menu. It's totally up to you what you want to access. Everything can be accessed through this menu button, but this is really for quick access. There are a list of items you can just access very quickly. There are some other buttons like this guy on the front. This button I use to configure autofocus mode. Area mode, pick the area, different areas. And also, here, let's look at the top. There are 2 other dials. This is for shutter speed dial. I almost never use this dial because, as I mentioned, the vast majority of the time I use aperture priority. If you use shutter priority, you can use this dial. For example, you want to freeze action. You want to make sure the shutter is extremely fast. Or if you want to create some blur, like the water is flowing, there's a waterfall, you put your camera on the tripod, you may use a very slow shutter speed, like 1 second. You can use this dial to control your shutter speed. And this exposure compensation dial is used whenever the ambient light is different than the normal. Like you are in a very dark restaurant, you want to expose less, you may dial it down. Or you are outside, land is covered by snow. If you do not use the exposure compensation, your picture, the snow may look gray because it's not properly exposed. Because the camera sensor only tries to get a certain amount of light. But if you use this dial to dial it up by, say, 2/3 of a stop, your camera will gather more light and the snow will look white. So these are the kind of controls I use. And the benefit of exposure compensation is that you ensure that you get the correct exposure, and also you do not have large areas that are, for example, too bright, blown out, pure white, no details, or too dark, pitch black, there's no details. That's why you use this exposure compensation, to minimize those kind of effect. Okay, so this is my Nikon ZF camera's configuration. Thank you